awesome Twitter thread between @DJ Frank,
Okay.
who's an atheist,
Mm-hmm.
and @Light of Reflection, who throws in some really compelling counter arguments.
I'm
And
intrigued.
just to be clear,
Yeah.
we're not here to be like this side is right or this side is wrong.
Right.
This is all about exploring, the deeper implications of their points.
So it's like we're examining a debate like it's a piece of art.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
So @JFrank kicks things off
Right.
by making this statement that science and atheism are like two separate things.
Okay.
They're saying that plenty of atheists totally accept scientific theories, like the Big Bang,
Right.
but so do a lot of religious people. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not about like rejecting science.
Yeah.
It's more about how you interpret the world around you.
That's a good point, and it's important to make that distinction
Yeah.
because, historically speaking, atheism existed way before
Oh, yeah.
we had things like, the scientific method.
Right. And Light-of-Reflection actually brings up atheists from like 1,500 years ago
Oh, wow.
who obviously didn't have access to, the science we have today
Right.
to back up their arguments.
So what was their argument back then?
Oh, this is so funny. They basically said everything has always existed,
Oh, wow. So,
which now we know
yeah.
isn't exactly how things work.
Yeah, the Big Bang kind of threw a wrench in that whole idea.
Right. And this is where things get interesting
Okay.
because Light-of-Reflection uses this historical example
Yeah.
to point out what they see as like this big irony.
Okay.
So they're saying that this early atheist arguments about eternal existence,
Yeah.
it's basically been debunked by modern science.
Like science came in and changed the whole game.
I know, right?
Wow.
So while science and atheism might not be like, inherently linked, Light-of-Reflection's arguing that modern atheists often rely on scientific discoveries
Okay.
to support their lack of belief.
Interesting.
And to illustrate this point,
yeah.
to use a couple of analogies.
Okay, I like analogies.
Me too. So the first one
Yeah.
compares atheists to an illiterate man holding a book,
Okay.
and because he can't read,
Yeah.
he claims there's no knowledge inside.
Right.
So the idea is just because you can't personally grasp a concept,
Mm-hmm.
like the existence of a divine being,
Yeah.
doesn't mean it isn't real.
Oh, that's a good one. It makes you think about the limits of our own understanding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the second analogy
Okay.
about a radio playing music in an empty room.
Okay.
A rational person would obviously be like, where's that signal coming from?
Right.
But Light-of-Reflection suggests that an atheist, using their logic,
Mm-hmm.
might say, well, I don't see a broadcaster, so the music must just be playing itself.
Wow, that's thought-provoking.
They're basically saying atheists dismiss the possibility of a creator
Yeah.
because they can't, scientifically prove it.
So it really raises the question, do we need that tangible proof to believe in something, or can we accept the possibility of something bigger,
Right.
even if we don't fully understand it?
This is why I love these deep dives.
Me too.
Okay, so we've got this interesting setup
Yeah.
where @JFrank is arguing for this separation
Right.
between science and atheism.
Okay.
And @Light-of-Reflection is countering by saying,
Yeah.
but wait, you're using science to back up your claims.
Right, and using those analogies
Yeah.
to really make us think about knowledge and how we perceive things.
Okay, this is getting good.
I know it.
They can't wait to hear where they go from here.
Me neither.
Okay, so Light-of-Reflection says modern atheists lean on science,
Yeah,
even if they say the two are separate.
right.
But then they kind of throw down a challenge.
I do. They basically say, okay, so you're using science to refute God,
Yeah.
but how do you explain all the stuff science hasn't figured out yet?
Ooh, I like where this is going.
It gets good.
What kind of stuff are we talking about?
They bring up some big mysteries, like the fine-tuning of the universe,
Okay,
the origin of consciousness, and even objective morality.
those are some serious head-scratchers.
Big time. They've stumped scientists and philosophers for ages.
Okay, so let's take these one by one.
Sounds good.
What do they mean by fine-tuning?
Right, so fine-tuning refers to this super precise balance in the universe.
Yeah.
All the physical constants and initial conditions that had to be just right for life to form.
Like all the dials were set perfectly.
Exactly. It's like winning the cosmic lottery a gazillion times in a row.
So some people see that as evidence for intelligent design.
Right. It's hard to imagine it all happening by pure chance.
So Light-of-Reflection is saying this precision points to a creator.
Yeah. Basically, they're saying the odds of it all happening randomly are ridiculously small.
Makes you think.
It does.
Okay, and then consciousness.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Science knows a lot about the brain,
Uh-huh.
but how we go from neurons to feelings.
Yeah, like how do we experience joy or sadness?
It's mind-blowing.
Totally. So Light-of-Reflection is suggesting maybe there's something more.
Like a soul or something.
Right, because science can't fully explain how subjective experience arises.
Okay, and what about objective morality?
Ah, yes, the age-old debate. Is there a universal right and wrong?
Yeah, or is it all relative?
Exactly. And at light of reflection seems to be leaning towards the universal side.
Suggesting that points to a divine source.
Yeah, like a set of moral laws that exist outside of us.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
What's that?
It's like they're saying, hey, atheists, you want to rely on science.
Uh-huh.
Well, until science can explain all this other stuff,
Yeah.
you can't rule out a creator.
That's a good summary. They're pointing out the limits of what we know scientifically.
Yeah, and suggesting maybe those limits point to something bigger.
Like there's a whole other layer of reality that science hasn't quite grasped yet.
So they've laid out these big, unexplained phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they go from there?
Well, they bring up the idea that real truth comes from a divine source.
Okay.
And they specifically mention the household of Prophet Muhammad. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this whole conversation?
For me, it's all about the idea of proof.
Oh, that's a good one.
What counts as proof when you're dealing with stuff that goes beyond science?
Right, like how do you prove something that you can't see or measure?
It really makes you think about your own biases.